Hey, welcome to the season premiere of CMA Live, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. And on tonight's show, we've got some pretty amazing guests. Some of the most iconic brands in the industry, in fact, because tonight it's all about essential gear. The brands that have got you covered from speakers to subs, DSPs to amps that really have the whole range of products in their offering. In fact, tonight we've got MTX in the house, we've got Ground Zero, Hertz Audio, and even Euphoria. CMA Live, presented by SiriusXM, season premiere, Essential Gear, starts now.
There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM with even more exclusive content that you can't find anywhere else. Like over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music ad-free. Root for your team anywhere you are. Get news from every source. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars and what's going on right now. And now your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home on devices like smart TVs, connected speakers, and more. For the first time, create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Enjoy a backstage pass to your favorite shows with SiriusXM Video, including Howard Stern and more. The best part? It's all included in your all-access trial subscription. Start enjoying it all in your vehicle, on your phone, online, and at home today. What you love is on now.
Introducing CMA Industry Week Spring Showcase 2021, a multi-day online event slated for March 22nd to April 1st, featuring all the major Canadian 12-volt electronics distributors presenting in both English and in French. The schedule will feature in-depth interviews, training sessions, keynote speakers, product unveilings, and much more. Access to CMA Industry Week will be completely free for all retailers and industry professionals. Choose to watch both live or on demand. Stay connected by visiting CanadianMobileAudio.com/industry week.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us tonight. Our very first guest for the evening represents a brand that literally has decades of history within our industry. Some of the most important, products that were ever out, and just such a long-standing heritage type of pedigree. Of course, I'm talking about MTX. So joining me tonight representing MTX is their sales and marketing strategist, Rico Felice. Why don't we get Rico on with me and welcome. Hey, Rico, welcome to CMA Live.
Hey, how's it going, Ben? Good to be here.
I'll tell you what, you are our very, very first guest of our brand new season this year. How do you feel about that?
Well, I guess being first is almost better than being last.
You sound like a Talladega Nights movie.
Well, you gotta be first because why not?
Absolutely. So we're gonna dive right in. We got some time dedicated just for MTX brand to learn everything there is to know. Why don't we start, like I mentioned on your intro, a brand like MTX has such a rich history. It's been around for so long, but you know what? There's been a lot of change recently, and there's been a lot of progress and evolution. Why don't you share a little bit about that recent, evolution, or maybe even touch on a little bit of the past for us?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, MTX is one of the, I almost refer to it as a legacy brand. We have been around as a brand over 40 years, but in reality, the concept of MTX started even before that. As you can see in the image there, Lloyd Ivey, our founder, CEO, president, basically God that is car audio to us, basically started as a young boy. In fact, the picture shows his single car garage where he's actually started tinkering with audio products, building enclosures and playing with speakers and so forth. And it really was that vision and that drive that came to become what MTX is today. And for over 50 years, we've happily been family owned. We've never had stock holdings or board of directors to deal with. The beautiful thing is it being a family owned company. We can do a lot of things in-house that we don't necessarily have to get a whole group's permission to go do. So if we want to develop a new product or, go in a certain direction, it's very, very simple for us to be able to kind of make that clear and go in that route. And beyond that, obviously under Lloyd's direction, we've grown over the years, and now we're lucky enough to have a son, John, helming the company, who, of course, has had his own blood indoctrinated in 12-volt commercial audio his entire life. And he has a huge passion to maintain what MTX has become and really grow it into the future to become a powerhouse brand all over again.
Okay, well, I mean, I love seeing that image. I mean, how many iconic brands that exist today started with, a little small business and an idea in a garage. So it's great to see that. What are some of the key, game changers or innovations that really set MTX's history and set them apart from the competition during its years, in the early years until now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, throughout the years, we've had a number of industry first and or just kind of leading brands or leading components. Probably the earliest one most people might not know is mobile enclosures in general. MTX is it's the first company to actually introduce a mobile loaded enclosure back in the early 80s. And that was one of probably the biggest things that we've been known for. Throughout the years, of course, there have been others. We introduced Thunderforms, vehicle-specific enclosures. Of course, more recently, we had our big 22 and 24-inch jackhammer power subwoofers, big amplifiers, and so forth. And then, of course, we're looking forward to the future as we try and, of course, come out with some new stuff as we're moving along here.
All right. Maybe you could provide us a little bit of insight, compared to the past direction. You hinted about it a little bit, but where's MTX going? You mentioned you basically have the son at the helm, Mr. Ivy.
Yep.
How are dealers going to benefit from this recent change?
Well, obviously, John's focus is not only building the brand, but maintaining the integrity of the brand. Several years ago, a decision was made, especially, it was really in the era where internet pricing, and as they call the race to zero pricing, for a lot of manufacturers was a problem. Still today, we see the internet really, in some cases, hurting our dealers because they'll have a tendency to obviously undersell a brick and mortar dealer, which obviously they have trouble competing. They lose customers, and it's just easier to buy it online these days. So one of the things that Lloyd and John made the decision was to actually take back and control all those sales channels, if you will, and literally dictate the pricing structure across the board, whether it be internet, brick and mortar, distributor, whatever it may be, to try and maintain an even playing field across the board. Now, obviously, when you do this, it's going to affect things. And for us, obviously, it affected sales because we no longer had broad distribution, big chain stores in some cases, and some internet companies. But that has allowed us to really control those avenues as far as where the products are going to ensure that the dealers and or distribution channels that we have will maintain and abide by our rules to ensure that the integrity of the product, the integrity of the pricing of the product is maintained. So everybody has the opportunity to make money. And obviously, at this point, we continue to expand our dealer base. We're always, looking for good quality dealers, and along with that, we'll get to continue building the product base as well. So,
well, that was where I was leading with that because it sounds like you guys have taken a step back and kind of done a little bit of restructuring and planning out. But of course, there's nothing that excites dealers more than product. So, can you give us some insight as to the direction that MTX is looking at heading towards over the next few years?
Yeah, absolutely. The product line, we have a variety of different families of products currently in production. But one of the things that we want to do is always obviously make things better. So starting this year, you're going to actually start seeing a variety of new 12-volt products coming down the pipe. In fact, here in the next few months, you're going to start seeing a revamped edition of our Terminator Party Pack series, to where we're actually upgrading the amplifier. We're actually making it produce more power than the previous models did. We're also going to be introducing some new Sledgehammer unloaded enclosures, Thunder Elite speakers, which are going to be high-end audiophile grade speakers, as well as revamping our Red Thunder Extreme speakers for our high output SPL type drivers for mid-range and tweeters. But that's not all. We've got a lot that I can't talk about.
Oh,
it's going to be kind of.
You were doing so good, Rico.
I was doing good. All I can say is for those guys that are looking for a variety of 12-volt products that they haven't seen from us in a while, all I can say is stay tuned. The second half of this year is probably going to be very interesting, to say the least. So we definitely have a lot on the plate this year and continuing. Again, our engineering group is working tirelessly to try and, again, deliver products that people are going to not only want to sell, but obviously customers are going to want to buy, and really try and regain that market share that we may have slipped a little bit on, but by no means are we going away. So,
in Canada, you've got an incredible partner in Trends Electronics. I know those guys, they are legendary up here because they were one of the first, agencies to really grab 12 volt by the horns and develop some legendary brands over the decades. But having said that, they've been expressing to me how excited they are, because I'm sure they're privy to information that I don't even have. However, what I have seen and what we've been showing off on our website, CanadianMobileAudio.com, is some of the stuff that you have coming down the pipe for the UTV market or power sports, side-by-sides. Is that a direction? Is that like something that we're going to see more of from MTX as time progresses?
Absolutely. Our design staff is very hard at work at the next generation of UTV audio kits. We've been in the power sports category for quite a few years, learning both from our OEM partnerships that we've had, like with Can-Am and Sea-Doo and Mahindra throughout the years, but also the aftermarket category. Several years ago, we introduced a Razor audio kit, and then when Polaris, for example, revamped it in 2019, they came out with the Turbo S model. It gave us an opportunity to kind of take that kit, go back to the drawing board, and really take a hard look at how the kit worked. Obviously, we looked at other things that were on the market that would compete against, and realized that, we knew we could do it better. When we introduced the new Razor kit last year, it was welcomed with open arms. We've had a huge success with it. And that being said, we're also getting ready to introduce another new kit in the Can-Am field, specifically for the X3 here in the next 2 to 3 months, which, I think is going to take the industry by storm. I don't want to give too many details because I know we're going to kind of talk about it in another segment. But
we definitely will. But okay, but you said something very important there, because up here, you do know that Can-Am is Bombardier, and Bombardier is a Canadian product, so we're kind of proud of that one.
Oh, absolutely.
And, it's pretty popular. So to know that you've got the engineering, and it sounds like you're almost about to launch it, so you're past that. So we're pretty excited to see more details. And are we talking about multi-stage type of upgrades, or this all-in-one?
Yeah.
Like what's the is it a modular system? Like, how does that work?
So similar to our Razor kit that we introduced last year, there were going to be definitely different levels of the kit available. So, you kind of have the starter level, and then you can always expand it from there. Some systems out there where you kind of buy one system, but then you have to revamp it to be able to upgrade, so to speak. Our system is all going to be plug and play, very user-friendly, very installer-friendly. And a consumer or even a dealer is going to be able to add on to that system very quickly and very easily if the customer comes back to them later on and decides, well, I bought this level of system, but I really like to step up. So they're not having to sell them an entirely new kit and not having to spend hours in the install bay pulling wiring out just to put new wiring in. So yeah, there will be definitely different levels. Obviously, individual components will be available, just like a Razor kit. So if the customer wants to buy a piece of the kit, speakers or subs, or whatever, they'll be able to add it potentially to an existing system as well.
I like that, because that gives a lot of flexibility at the sales level to say, hey, you listen, if you're not ready for the we can get you there, but we can start you with this. And, that always leads to more sales. In the last few minutes here, I want to circle back to a really important message here that you mentioned. There's a resurgence, there's an evolution happening. There's been 2 steps back to look, 5 steps forward. So I'm going to ask you with this final question to close out your segment here. What is the message that you have for existing and potential new MTX dealers looking forward 2021 and beyond from MTX?
Simply enough, we are here. We are here for you guys. Obviously there may have been some things in the past, but we have overcome those. We are moving forward. We are developing new products. We are making those products better than ever. And we are expanding the line to ensure that dealers and installers have the tools at hand to be able to obviously make money, because it's simple enough as a dealer. That's what we're in the market for. We're all about making money and keeping the doors open, lights on, and food on the table. So the big thing is, we are here to make sure that you guys can continue doing that. And more importantly, be proud to be able to sell the MTX audio line in your store and offer it to your customers, and be able to provide not only technical support, sales support, marketing support for all the dealers that are out there, but basically just to be here as not so much a partner, but you guys become part of the family when you become an MTX dealer, one way or another. And that's the beauty of being a family-owned business. Everybody who sells, you're part of the family.
That's an awesome message. You guys heard it here first. Hey, and you know what? You did make mention. We do have another date, you and I, that's coming up on Friday on our CMA Connected, where myself and Rico will have Grant over from Trans on for a CMA Connected at lunch hour, noon Eastern time. Rico, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us on, and appreciate the time.
All right. We'll see you on Friday, in fact. Take care.
Absolutely. All right.
All right. That was Rico Feliz from MTX. Looks like there's some major, shaking and baking going on in the MTX camp, as you heard from Rico himself. Maybe a new vision, new direction. Yeah, they had to, step back and evaluate, but it certainly looks like the energy's there. And by the looks of the little micro announcement that Rico has made, there's certainly some exciting stuff coming down the pipe. Okay. Our next guest, let's bring in our next guest. Our next guest represents a brand that, wow, this is a big brand. When I say big, I'm gonna let our next guest, Tommy Spears, talk to us about this brand, and he's going to elaborate on what I mean by big brand. He's the director of sales and marketing for Ground Zero. Let's bring him on. What's going on, Mr. Spears?
Hey, how you doing, Ben?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
So you heard me say it because, it's true. And I know you're going to talk about it. But before we get to the why, what I'm referring to as a big brand, let's start with establishing our baseline, and that is understanding the Ground Zero DNA, if you will. From your position, what are the positive experiences that you've enjoyed dealing with Germany, right? Because Ground Zero is based in Germany, which we need to mention.
Yep.
And obviously with that comes a certain level of manufacturing, design, engineering, and all that stuff. So how does that affect the brand, and what are you hearing from your dealers based on those facts?
So, first thing, a lot of people that may not know me, I'm recently removed from retail onto the manufacturing side within the past 4 years. So seeing, this question that you just asked me, seeing, the manufacturing side, seeing the product design, talking with the guys in Germany and the engineers, and then also people here in North America, seeing how they actually listen to the dealers, and not only just listen, if it makes sense and it's something that can, grow Ground Zero, make a benefit for what they're talking about. We've had stuff where I've mentioned, hey, I think we need this tweeter. One of our guys is like, we really need this type of speaker for this application. They listen to it, obviously with, some details into it. Next thing we know, we're getting prototypes to test over here, and this August we may have some new things. So,
all right. Very, very cool.
So I mean, it's just really cool to see how, obviously it's, manufacturing from the ground up with prototypes and everything. It's not a super fast transition, but coming from the retail side to see the manufacturing side, and with the right ingredients of, it makes sense to them, it makes sense to us. it makes sense to the dealer. All of a sudden, next thing you know, you've got what the dealer's been asking for, and other brands sometimes aren't able to move that fast, where they're always purely about it's the music. That's really what it comes down to.
We're talking about essential gear here, and Ground Zero is an essential brand for many reasons. From your experience so far, what are the dealers telling you that they enjoy dealing with Ground Zero as an essential gear brand?
Probably the biggest thing is just the versatility of it. Ground Zero isn't just a niche. It's a niche upon many niches, not to keep using that word. But you have your, one thing that dealers like is that you can sell a modest system upgrade, and we have that. Go to medium high-end SQ, we have that. Reverse it and go to the opposite side of the spectrum, go competition and SPL, we have that. Whether it's high-end, low-end, or entry level. So that's probably the biggest benefit. And then, vehicle specifics for Mercedes and BMW, we kind of have that big, nice, spectrum of car audio or 12 volt in general, for music on any aspect.
I think what you're getting at, and what I see when I go to the website and I did my own time exploring the lines, the girth of the lineup is quite significant. Would you agree that that's probably one of the unique features of the brand overall is the fact that there's different levels of product, and not only is it high, but it's also wide?
Yes, yeah. So it's not just from dollar value on up. It's like you said, wide. So you got somebody that wants crystal clean highs and mids. They're not they don't care about spending some money, but they also want some heavy deep bass with it. We have it. They can mix and match. Basically, it's a really nice solution for a shop that if you wanted to go one brand only, you have a complete solution, on every aspect of it. So there's your width and your height with it, so that's a pretty cool aspect to come into a brand that has, like you said, such a wide spectrum on everything.
One of the benefits of that must be the fact that you could grow your dealer with the brand. You can get that.
Yes.
Sorry, not the dealer, the customer is what I meant. In other words, you have that customer come in, you can show them that entry level product. They fall in love with the brand, and they say, "Hold on a second, that's page 1 of a 10-book chapter, right?" Yep. And then you can kind of walk them through that, which is interesting, and that has a lot to do at the manufacturer level of how they plan and their product line and the strategy and all that. So let's talk about that. It's a German company. What do you see as a difference from a strategy standpoint or a product rollout standpoint, maybe even marketing, from a Euro company versus North American companies, which I'm sure you have some experience with dealing with as well. What have you noticed as major significant differences?
I will state that with I don't mean any disrespect to North America, because we all live in North America here. The biggest difference is ultimately the high-end game. It's on a completely different level in Europe. The competition scene, whether it's high-end competition, SPL or SQ, it is definitely on a completely different level versus here in the US. It's not that, because I come from retail, it's not that we aren't trying. It's just almost a different market in a degree. Because you also got to classify Asia into the European market too. Because let's face it, with EMA, they all come and meet in the middle and go at it at EMA. So it's one of those things where it's just such a huge market. Obviously, stuff produced over there, they get it a little bit quicker than we do. So they have a little bit more time with it. But they love those lines over there. If you look, we're in, over 40 countries, not including North America, as a whole continent, so, they're huge overseas, especially in Europe. So, it's just, like I said, the biggest thing I've noticed is just the actual, the high-end spectrum on both the SPL and the SQ side of things is a totally different beast in itself.
Yeah, those guys take things darn seriously. You know what I mean?
Oh yes.
The quality installs, everything about it. So here's a question for you. You know, in the U.S., dealers can get product from Ground Zero USA. In Canada, you guys are represented by BB Distribution, and this is an interesting line for them because of its vastness, right? It covers so many things. It could be high end, could be entry level, it could be extremely high end, ultra SQ, pro, all like everything that you mentioned. If I put you on the spot and said, you know, I'm new to the brand, I want to take a look at it after this show, what are 3 products that you would point me to go take a look at quickly?
Ultimately, I would say our new uranium line of components that we just released. There's nothing, in my opinion, on the market like it for a 2-way or a 3-way, whether you want active or passive. That's a great lineup. Just to kind of give you a little characteristics of the one of the finest neo magnets on the 6.5-inch driver, and then it is a 2-inch voice coil in that driver with aluminum cone. Very rich and detailed tweeter. So something to check out there. The next aspect would be our uranium and up amplifiers, because they're class AB bias. So you have adjustable bias per channels. I personally use the picture you showed earlier. That's the back end of my car. That's 2 of the 6 channels in the back of my Camry. So I love having that capability of warming up the front and getting serious in the back with that AB, adjustable bias on each pair of channels. And then, our whole radioactive line, that is probably by far the most popular line. It's very nice and affordable, but it plays with the best of them and price ranges above them. I always tell everybody, you can't really base our line on pricing. You got to base it on the product itself.
That line is the one that it gets a lot of buzz. I've seen a lot of videos on it, and I've seen a lot of chatter about it. So I'm happy that you mentioned that, because it's certainly, people are talking about it. So very, very cool. Tommy, Ground Zero, it's here. It's been around for a long time. It's got a ridiculous lineup that you should definitely take a look at. Where do you see Ground Zero heading in the future? Like, where else is there to go? That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, I mean, in North America, I see it being a more of a household name. The growth we've seen in North America just in the past 2 years is amazing. Last year, ironically, during Corona, some of the biggest growth we have ever seen in North America. So it's one of those things. You can go on Facebook now and you'll see people mentioning us like we were, another brand. So it's very rewarding to see that now. But I mean, they've been around since 1995, and that's what a lot of people, because it seems new to some people in North America, especially younger people. It seems kind of new. So, but they've got a history there, and I see ourselves in the future just dominating it, both on every spectrum of it, and making customers and dealers happy along the way.
Well, on that point with dealers, I'm going to ask you this final question. I'm a dealer. I'm watching this show. I'm seeing Tommy talk about this product he's obviously very passionate about. What message do you have for me that I should definitely take a closer look at this line for my shop?
Biggest thing is, put me on the spot on that one.
Oh, yes, I do. That's my job, sir.
If you're looking for a line that can fill every solution that you need, even if you don't bring in the entire line, we've got it for you. One thing, big bass, hydrogen, that's a hydrogen 12 right there. That's one of our flagship woofers, and that's the middle of the line. So, it goes up from there. Then you get into, like you showed on earlier, the uranium. You're getting into our modest SQ, but it's going to rival a lot of what other brands consider their higher end SQ. And then you get up to like my car, which is plutonium speakers, and it's amazing sounding. It's the most, I hate that Corona happened, because my car was actually supposed to be in Toronto last year for one of the shows. And hopefully once the border opens back up, because I'm in Northern Michigan, I'll be able to get up there and, help the guys at BB out.
So close, but so far right now. It sucks. I know.
Yep.
But so I think I get it, right? You got a great lineup, high end, low end, but we're talking DSPs, amps, right? Speakers, subs, all across the range, top to bottom. All right, man.
Competition line to big bass to sound quality to everything. So.
We're going to have another chance, Tommy. We're going to be talking to Ground Zero, going much deeper, along with the boys from BB Distribution. We've got an upcoming episode also diving in on Ground Zero on March 10th. So definitely take a look forward to that. Hey, Tommy, thank you so much for joining us tonight, giving us some insight on the Ground Zero brand. And definitely, guys, go check it out. There's a lot to look at. So roll up your sleeve and take out a notepad. That's my suggestion.
Thank you, Ben.
Take care, Tommy. All right. 2 brands down, 2 very different brands, but yet very interesting brands at the same time. And the third brand we're going to bring up, we're going to throw another curveball at you because this brand is part of a bigger family of brands. And the person that will be representing this brand this evening is certainly somebody that I respect very much. He's so knowledgeable. I love having him on the show. Of course, we're talking about Hertz Audio and Ken Ward, who's their technical marketing consultant. Let's get Senor Ken back on the. Whoa, look at you. You are just professional, period.
I am channeling my inner Italy. I'm pretending I'm in. This is actually a backdrop of the studio in Italy that Electromedia, the parent company of the Hertz brand, built to be able to, during the pandemic last year, to be able to do productions internally in-house.
That's amazing. Ken, so happy to have you on the show again, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great to have you. Great to be on the new season.
Oh, you're going to be on more than once. I can tell you that right now. But on this first one, I'm really happy to have you because you are a great storyteller. And I think what we want to start off with is the Hertz story. Let our listeners know. They might have heard of the brand. It's been around for a while. But I want you, in your words, to tell us about the origin of the brand, what it's all about, where it came from.
I am happy to do that. And a month ago or 2, I would have had a really tough time with this because I'm in North America. And obviously, Hertz is an Italian brand that has been most popular in Europe. This is their 25th anniversary later this year. And I was asked to work with them on a webinar about Hertz. That part of the webinar went into the history of the brand. The parent company originally was an amplifier manufacturer and still manufactures amplifiers. So back in those days, and I was in car audio in those days, a lot of the high-end car speakers were home audio speakers with a sticker on them. Mm-hmm. And some well-known brands would buy a high-end home speaker and slap a sticker on it and say, here you go, this is our high-end car speaker. And the engineers, the people that founded Electromedia still run the company. The head of engineering and the president of the company and another executive were the 3 who founded it originally, and they still run that. And so there is a family history, and it isn't something. I've worked for companies that were founded by founders and then sold to hedge funds. And that's no fun. Okay. The passion that created the company leaves with the founder most of the time. So it's great to watch the decisions they make about how to navigate the business today, knowing that they are the same people that started it. So in the mid-90s, about 25 years ago this year, they decided to start developing car-specific speakers. And I won't drag us through the technical ditch here, but I will point out that there are a lot of things that happen with home audio drivers that are drawbacks when we put them in cars. The most obvious one is window tracks, because when we have a beautiful home audio driver, the engineer didn't have any worry about whether or not the window was going to hit it when you rolled the window down. So that's one. Another one is temperature, because home audio drivers don't usually get exposed to the high and low extremes that drivers are exposed to in the car. Or humidity. And when humidity in car audio means we're running water on it right now, like with a hose. That we went through the car wash is what humidity means. One of the big ones that I find hasn't been explained well in car audio is that speakers sound different when they're aimed at you or when they're aimed partially away from you. And the best way to explain this is in a car door. If you have a speaker that sounds great in a display, eye level, pointing at you, and then you take that speaker and you put it in a car door where it's down by your ankle, not pointing at you, it will sound like a completely different speaker. So what's your target? What is the target that you're aiming for? And I can tell you that some North American brands in the past have said, hey, we're selling this product into a chain store with 1,000 outlets. We better make it sound good in the board. And some companies say, you know what? We want a long-term customer. We want the speaker to sound great in the car. And that's a really key design point that I think if you, as a retailer, and in Canada, Hertz is distributed by Automobility in Montreal. And if you as a retailer want to have a long-term relationship with your customers, there's lots of techniques you can use to do that with remarketing and email promotions to your existing customers and ways to bring your customers back. But one of the ones that's my favorite is making it sound really freaking good. Yeah. And that's a great way to keep your customers. So when they went to making car audio drivers, they really looked at how to solve these problems of putting the speaker in a factory location or putting the speaker in an off-axis door and having it sound the way we want. And when they first did it, they went into the speaker business, quite frankly, the way a lot of companies went into the speaker business. They found a partner who manufactured speakers, and they asked the partner to build something in a certain way. And, you know, you work with your partner. That became more popular in the 90s as some companies stopped building speakers in North America and started building them in other countries. Hertz actually decided that they were so committed to building speakers that they made a speaker factory. I think you actually put a picture of it up a minute ago.
That was the speaker factory. I thought that was the office
factory that they own. And all the people in there are employees of the parent company.
Yeah, there it is right there. Yeah.
And they built car audio speakers that were exactly what they wanted to do in cars, and they won awards in Europe with them. Now, once you own a speaker factory, one of the things you have to do is you have to decide what you're in the business of doing. You know, you're making speakers now, right? So Hertz now has marine audio speakers that they make. They didn't order them. They make marine speakers. They make towers. They make coaxes. They went through all of the testing with the water jets and the.
So what you're saying is this is not a Hertz branded product from a catalog they chose somewhere. Is that what you're trying to say?
And this is something that I really identify with and respect, because I used to work for a company that could take a product and sell it in a bunch of different brands by putting a picture of different snakes on the box. I don't know who that was, but anyway, what they do is they don't badge engineer. If they have a product that's successful in the Hertz line and somebody says, you know, we'd really like to have that in one of these other brands that you own, the answer is no, that's not what it's for. In the background behind me, you can also see the brand La Voce. And La Voce is not just the name of the factory that you saw in that picture. It is also the name of their real pro audio. When we're in car audio, when we say pro audio, what we mean is I want a speaker that's really efficient and loud. But La Voce is actually pro audio. So the factory that builds the Hertz car audio speakers also builds very well reviewed and respected pro audio drivers for sound reinforcement and studio monitors and that sort of thing. They went into motorsports, which have a lot of common design elements with marine speakers in terms of humidity. They went with the 8-inch coaxes you need for marine. They went with tower speakers in marine. They have also gone into motorcycle. They've built speakers that not only fit into specific applications in Harley Davidsons without having to modify the bike. They make speakers that are half the weight of the non-motorcycle version, so that you're not adding too much. If you add too much in car audio to the bike, it becomes tippier, right? We don't need that. So they're also taking advantage of the technology that they learned for making a speaker waterproof on a bike. because sometimes I live in Oregon, so I know sometimes it rains.
It's sometimes.
So that was a long walk to talk about all the different kinds of speakers that they've decided to be in the business of delivering. And most of them are in the Hertz brand that we're talking about, but all of them are something that were QC'd and designed and shipped by a direct Hertz employee at the factory.
Very nice. Very nice. So, I mean, there's no question. I knew that was going to be a committed question, because it's very important that you got that message across about how committed they were and their pedigree in the loudspeaker business for mobile. My question to you from that is, having that expectation when a dealer takes on Hertz, right? What's the biggest surprise they get, knowing that they're expecting already, great quality sound? What else is there to surprise them? What is the extra on top, the cream on top?
Well, I think the biggest surprise is actually the same if you're a dealer who brings in the line, if you're a rep who brings in the line, or if you're a distributor who brings in the line. And that is how broad it really is. Here's one of the classic images. They're really great at creating high resolution images. You know how they understand that for an engineering company, they understand that specs are not the only way to convey the quality of a product. They want to excite the rest of the senses before you get to hear it. But the thing that is most impressive is the breadth of the product. There are dealers who bring in the line because they need a marine line. There are dealers who bring in the line because they do motorcycles. There are dealers who bring in the line because they want a really efficient basic coaxial speaker that jumps out of the board so that they can put it in a car and not necessarily install an amp, and the customer is happy at how much louder it got. And there are customers who only work at the other end of the driver spectrum, and they use the SQ drivers that sound amazing with amplification. And we haven't even talked about the amplifiers and the DSP yet, but we'll talk about that in a minute. It's very difficult to chew on all those different categories. You've got amplifiers, you've got marine amplifiers, you've got marine amplifiers with DSP, which is pretty rare. One of the things that I'm charged with communicating to people this year is that DSP isn't for imaging. That DSP can be used as a tool to manage cancellations. Now, if you manage cancellations in a car, you end up with imaging, and that's another story. But in a boat, there's a lot of things you can do with the DSP, and building it into the amplifier seems to be the best way to get it into the boat.
Interesting.
Now, I'm doing a lot of work with Automobility to review all these different categories. The company is very committed to making sure that when a audio dealer contacts them, that they can support that audio dealer all the way through, from the sales rep to tech support to everybody in the company is learning about the history of the brand that I just talked about. I'm really impressed with the commitment that they have for picking this up and carrying the ball forward. One of the things about having the DSP, even though they have another line that has a lot of DSPs, the DSP that is in the Hertz line is unique. It is different from any of the others, and you can get great results with it, whether you're using it for SQ or if you're using it just to get loud and clean.
Loudspeakers, DSP, amplification, marine, motorcycle,
yes,
T-shirts,
everything.
hot backgrounds, everything. Yeah. Obviously, it seems like Hertz is on a rampage, right, to conquer many different things. But if you had to choose right now, if you're looking 2021 and beyond, what are some of the segments that Hertz has their eye on really conquering right now?
Well, I can't say much about products that are coming down the pike, mostly because they won't tell me. I think they speak to me as a security risk. I think that in Canada, the ability to use the high-end drivers for car SQ is going to be a big one, but I think the other one is going to be marine, because I think with some of the changes that happened last year, and obviously last year was chaotic for all of us, and hopefully we all made it through. But I think marine is going to be in stock for the whole season. I think some of the SKUs that came out in the last few years may not have lined up with when the marine season starts here. I really think that that is going to be a big change for 2021. The bikes, we'll see how the bike season works out, but I think marine is going to be the biggest impact in terms of commercially. My favorite is car audio. Car audio is my passion. And one of the things that Hertz is doing is they are taking some of the drivers that were previously only available in kits and making them available as raw drivers. And that's going to be available more in the next few months. So you will be
individual as in onesies, or as still you have to buy a pair, or what do you mean?
It would still come as a pair, but it won't come if you want the like the 28.3 tweeter. You won't have to buy a complete component set. You can get two 28.3 tweeters and then build the system as you go. That's something that Hertz really supports, even though it causes what we call in product management SKU proliferation. So the supply chain guys never want you to bring in too many SKUs. But making
that's your next t-shirt, by the way, Ken. That's your next t-shirt. SKU proliferation.
That's my band. So
that's your brand.
But making sure that the dealers have it available is the key. That's what they're worried about.
Very cool. Last word, what message do you have for dealers who might be looking at Hertz thinking that, it was just a very niche product? Because I'll be honest, I've heard that before. Hertz is a little bit niche, but from what you're saying, it's quite essential because it covers so many categories.
It is a very powerful tool, right? And I've had Swiss Army knives where I never figured out how to use every tool that was on there, and probably because I didn't read the manual. So if I had one thing to say to everybody, it would be, read the manual. But let me tell you why I'm saying that. If you're a Hertz dealer, you probably have some component sets in the board. And all of the component sets, if you read the manual, have a setting that they say is better for the board, and they have a setting that they say is better for the car. You go Cento, you go Cento Pro, you go Mie Pro, you go Mie Legend. That's in all the manuals. Well, when you put it in the board, you don't have to do anything. It's defaulted to the board. But when you install it in a car, did you read the manual? Because if you didn't read the manual, you might not have put the speaker in a way that you get the best performance. So my suggestion is read the manual.
Read the manual. Perfect. I can't remember the last phrase. I want to say it again, but all I remember is proliferation. Ken, thanks so much for being with us. We're definitely going to see. I'm sure we're going to see you at CMA Industry Week for Hertz and the other electromedia brands. I'm pretty sure about that.
I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good. Ken Ward, everybody, representing Hertz Audio. Thank you so much, Ken. All right, we got one more brand to go to round out the hour, and this brand is pretty exciting because it's been gaining a lot of momentum. It's, when they said the brand, I knew it under another brand, so I'm going to learn all about what this brand is about. The brand we're talking about is Euphoria, which is owned by DB Drive, and today we're going to bring on National Sales Manager Ernie Welch. Hey, Ernie, thanks for your patience this evening, staying on with us. That's me.
How you doing, man? Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you, Ernie. And I'm pretty happy to have you on to talk about this brand because when the boys at Import Tel told me that, I was expecting DB Drive, they said, no, man, we got to talk about Euphoria. So here you are. Tell me, what is Euphoria?
Well, one of the reasons the reason I would guess they're probably excited to talk about Euphoria, in addition to just the DB Drive, which is our founding brand, is some of the exclusivity that they have with that. With Euphoria, it's very limited in who can get this product. So there's a ton of benefit to being a distributor like Importel or to being a dealer, whether that come through distribution or whether that come through a direct relationship with us. Being a Euphoria account shows that you're an expert in what you know to do. So if you're a consumer and you walk into a retail location, you're able to recognize that, hey, this is a shop that knows what they're doing. This is a brand that doesn't just show up anywhere. We are pretty selective on who can have this product.
And so that's good. So good on Importel for being able to have that opportunity to offer to select dealers, I imagine. And tonight you're going to help me navigate a little bit what the brand offers. But maybe before we get there, something that's so important, and I know that this is something that when we talk about, you want to get this message across, and that is what DB Drive is doing before we get into the product and the back end of things. Because, we're talking to dealers is who's watching this, and they want to know what type of protections are in place. They want to know what the brand, the manufacturer is doing, especially in the environment of today with internet shopping and all that type of stuff. What are you actively doing right now to ensure success for your dealers?
Well,
when it comes to the internet,
it's really easy. With Euphoria, we're a zero internet policy. So look, no brand out there is perfect, but we do everything we possibly can to keep this product off the internet. And, it was a decision that was made a while back, is that we would go after and unfortunately have to end some relationships with people that just weren't able to play by the rules. And we did that. And one thing that, not to pat ourselves on the back, but one thing that returned to us from that was the respect from the dealer base, that our dealers said, hey, you know what? You went to bat for us. And because you did, and because I can be profitable with it, because consumers are happy with this, now we're going to give you a little bit more business. Because one of the things they recognize is we talk all the time about being profitable. We talk about having protection, and we talk about giving the right price. And all three of those things are very important. If you are a consumer, if you're a dealer, or if you're distribution, of course we have to make money, but we want profit with a purpose. And the reason that matters is there's so much product that is available that is just me too. And that's not an insult to anybody or any other brand that's out there. It doesn't want to come off that way, but we want to have a purpose when somebody's making money, when they're making a sale. We want them to know that there's a benefit that's coming back to them, whether that be through the performance of the product in their car or because they're able to make money on their storefront. We want to have that profit with a purpose. And the price is fair to everybody that's out there. Of course, you can make money with this, but the protection is there also for the consumer and for our dealers. We talked a little bit about the internet protection, but that protection is really in play also for the consumer. Whenever that consumer walks into a dealer and says, hey man, I can't find this on the internet. They try to do the phone search that happens on every sales floor every single day, and they can't find it. Or if they find it, it's in some third world country. The benefit to them is they're not buying something from, frankly, they're not buying something from an eBay, a Craigslist, or some third-party person that they don't know what they're getting from who. They know that they buy that from our dealer. They're reputable, they're respected, and they're an authorized account for us. And one thing that we're excited to see is when a customer walks into a dealer, we have the things in place so that that consumer recognizes this dealer is a Euphoria account. We have the merchandising, we have the networking behind it, we have the tech support behind it, and that can funnel through Importel, that can come direct to the company. And all of those just add up to be a big benefit, whatever level you're at purchasing or consuming Euphoria products.
Very nice. You're saying some key words there that I want to expand on, because there certainly seems to be a culture behind your brand. Okay, there. I don't know what it's called. Maybe DB culture, maybe whatever the term is, but there's a following, no doubt about it. What's the story behind that? Because there's certainly it's quite loud, on social forums, and the images are coming, and people are very proud of it. So there's this like subculture going on. Can you speak to that a little bit?
For sure, that it's organic in what happened there. Sometimes as manufacturers, we're forced to say, hey, here's a product, we built it. I really hope you like it and you'll buy it. What we've been able to do, because we're a very small but powerful company, we're nimble and we're agile. So the culture kind of developed because we were listening to consumers and we were listening to our dealer base coming back to us and saying, hey, you know what? This works, but I need it in this fashion. Mm-hmm. Or, you know what? If I could get that in this type of setup or in this scenario, I think I could really do well with that. And we're very connected with our dealer base. So we take that feedback and we go and like I said, we're a small, powerful company. We go and we sit in a room with the owner and say, hey, Robert, we have customers that are saying there's a demand for this. And because he's sitting there in that room and he says, you know what, this makes sense, the green light's given. And we're able to be quick and come to market with things that there's consumer demand for. So the culture gets built around the response to us listening to what our consumers want. And then like I said, it becomes organic. So the products we've developed for marine and the products that we've developed for motorcycles, this doesn't take us building a multi-million-dollar marketing campaign and saying, hey, let's create an illusion. All we have to do is say, hey, we're going to build the right product at the right place, right price for the right people. And they get to tell our story for us. And as long as we're being honest with what we're selling and providing those people, they're going to give us good feedback. And that's what's happened. There's just a culture that's been built around this product online, through the social media forums, and just at all the car audio competitions, at all the different motorcycle shows that you go to. It's really something. The DB Drive started in 1999. I've been with these guys for 16 years. It's the only factory I've ever worked for. It's the only factory I ever will work for. It's just a great place to be. So that culture exists also inside the building itself. But it was really eye-opening for me to go from year 1 to now year 13, 14, 15, 16, to when you walk into these shows and you see your product being competed with, purchased, talked about, consumed at such an ultra high level. There's not a competition amongst brands as much as people just saying, I love what these guys are about and what they do for me and my vehicle.
Very, very nice story. And that kind of really expresses what I've seen. And, I implore you guys to go take a look and dig deeper. There are these groups set up and they're very passionate people, right? And exactly what you said, Ernie, I couldn't have described that any better. Now, is that part of what's fueling this demand for the Euphoria brand? Like, you explained in the beginning of our little chat here that the Euphoria brand was kind of created to be this like more exclusive opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. But what is fueling that? Because obviously it's not just 1 or 2 items. It's an entire lineup, an essential gear lineup, really.
No, you're right. And, essential, that's the way to go. So that's a great way to say it. It's a meat and potatoes line that also gives you the entire meal. So we have all the things that you need, but we give you the whole table spread to say, hey, we can nitpick what some people call a niche product or a nuanced product. We got products that are going to fit into every category that you could possibly need. And that comes with a strategic focus. We clean out a lot of the clutter of SKUs that maybe make a brand too heavy, but we hit home with all the important pieces that people need. And there's some key pieces there. There's some higher end product that may exist out there that has a certain reputation about it, and deservedly so. What we're able to do is say, hey, we're going to take what we know to be true in just building speakers, bring you that high quality, high end sound that you want, high performance sound that you need, and build it into a package that's going to be more profitable and more performance from you. Because let's face it, everybody that walks into a dealer's showroom has a budget.
The B word.
Now, the B word. And that's the God's honest truth. I'm an old guy. So, it used to be that a guy would walk into a sales floor and say, I got $800 and I want to buy an amplifier. And then you could talk him into spending $1,100 on an amplifier. Today, a guy walks in and goes, I got $500 and I need a stereo. I want it all. And that story is true. But what's exciting about the past year is we've noticed that, hey, COVID was a bad time for a lot of people, but as some of your guests said earlier, there was also a positive response that we saw what people did when they had the dough. Yeah. They bought car audio.
They reverted back to fun times.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They came back to the things that they like. And what you're seeing come out of a brand like Euphoria feeds into that. It's affordable, but it also gives you that fun and it gives you that performance inside your car that you want to have. It also comes with that high-end performance look and performance that people are looking for. But the guy can walk in the store and be able to afford this stereo.
On that note, we're going to get our director to throw up a couple images as I ask you this final question. Talk to us a little bit, a couple of hot ticket items. If you're looking at the line, you want to call Importel up, you want to call, what do they need to know?
ES96C, that's what you got on the screen right there. And the meat and potatoes, again, in a box that is just ultra high end. You got an ultra light fiberglass cone there that just performs. If you want to talk tech and spec, everybody's got a line of features that I could rattle off to you, and I could do the exact same thing. But what is most important is when a dealer puts this inside their store, they're going to be able to put this on a board or in a vehicle and listen to the performance of this thing and say, hey, you know what? It's going to be really tough for me to sell the speaker that costs 4 times as much on my board when I can sell this for half that cost or for a quarter of that cost and make more money. And what's great is when they take that product and they install it in that consumer's vehicle at a fair price, that consumer's loving life. And that's circling the wagon background. That's where we get back to the culture. People are happy with what they're buying at that price.
Let's see a couple other images here, because the whole line looks super clean. Like
and that's right. That's clean product. I got that amp sitting right in front of me, Ben. Look at some of this.
Take a look at this.
Yeah, get this on my camera the right way. Variable subsonic filter, small footprint, high performance amplifiers in that clean, sexy look. And I know you've got that image up there also. But the Tiffany RCAs, just the amplifier that fits that need in that motorcycle, that fits that need in that small fit application, that is what these mini amps are doing. That's the one you had up there. We also have a full line of regular amplifiers that dealers are super happy to see also. But that mini series that came out about fall last year, we're super stoked, and the response has been fantastic on that mini series of amplifiers.
All right, I think we had one more image. Yeah, that's the one I wanted to show. There's your subwoofer right there, and that's the black series, right?
That's the blackout series from Euphoria. This is one of those things that kind of developed from dealer feedback. There are some brands, including some things that we make, that have a different image and a different projection that go out and say, here's a lot of flash, here's a lot of sizzle. This is a lot of steak. This is a lot of performance. You got the cast baskets, you got the high-end terminals, but more importantly, you just have that clean, sophisticated look on that subwoofer. It's something that goes into a vehicle and just looks stealth, but
stealth was the word. It doesn't look gaudy. It's the opposite of gaudy, which I think is stealth.
Right. I'll go with that. I'll accept your definition there. Yeah. What you find with that woofer, Ben, real quick, what you find with that woofer is the guy that's walking in there with a 10-year-old vehicle loves the performance of that thing. The guy that walks in there that just came off the lot loves the look of that woofer.
I see. Right. Okay. So my last question, what message do you have? I'm a dealer. I'm listening to Ernie talk. He's showing me this Euphoria product, talk about the internet protection and the exclusivity of it. What's your one takeaway? What do you want them to remember after this is done?
Well, you summarized well with the exclusivity there. We want to really make sure that dealers know that protection is there for them and that exclusivity is there. And we picked the right partners. Like I said, this isn't just everywhere. And when we go to somebody like Importel, this isn't something that we just shove a bunch of stuff in their building and go, boy, we hope you sell this. We want to provide them with the tools, and we also want to provide the dealers with accessibility to the company. I mentioned Robert earlier, and I brag about this all the time. Some companies, they're large, and that serves a purpose, and there's a reason for them to be there. But you could pick up the phone and call DB and say, hey, I want to talk to the owner, and Robert will pick up the phone. And there's tremendous value in that. Your feedback as a dealer matters to us as a manufacturer. And we are in tune with what's happening with this industry and what's happening with our product. We're one of the very few manufacturers in the industry. We have all of our resources overseas. We can take a product from raw material, literally raw material. We can take a product and taste, touch, and develop that all the way to a final installation through all of the different ways that we are connected inside this industry. So long before a product comes to market and we throw it out there and say, boy, we hope this works, we've accepted the feedback from our dealer base. We've tried to develop that product with every successful feature and benefit that we know of. And then we test that product in real world applications long before it ever goes in a box and sees a shelf at a dealer.
Very nice. All right. Ernie, can't thank you enough for being on. I know we're going to circle back at Industry Week. We're going to dive deeper into the products and we get to talk specs and all that fun, nerdy stuff. But we do appreciate you spending time and giving an overview and giving everybody insight as to what the Euphoria brand is all about.
Hey, thanks for the invite. Glad to be here, Ben.
All right, everybody. That was Ernie from DB Drive, representing the new line known as Euphoria, as you just learned about there. Wow. Gosh, does that hour go quickly. Amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. This is kind of like the format we want to move forward with. We want to give and squeeze just about as much information and interesting content as possible into each one of our themed episodes. I want to give a big thanks to all our guests this evening, Rico, Tommy, Ken, Ernie. Hey, reminding you want to follow us, what we're doing, Facebook, Instagram, CanadianMobileAudio.com is where we live. This wraps up our first episode of the new season for CMA Live, presented by SiriusXM. Believe it or not, we announced today that we have 19 more of these CMA Live episodes planned out for the rest of 2021. So make sure you check out our complete schedule that's found on our website at CanadianMobileAudio.com/calendar. Easy enough. You can even export it to your Google or your iCalendar if you're an Apple user. More big news. Industry Week. You heard me talk about it throughout the entire show. That's coming up real soon. We're releasing our complete, I repeat, we are releasing our complete detailed schedule for the 2-week event on Monday, this coming Monday. Check out all the amazing distributors and the brands that will be joining us and participating and presenting. CanadianMobileAudio.com/Industry Week for all the details. And on that note, make sure you just tune in in 2 weeks, because this is going down every 2 weeks, guys. We've got a special episode of CMA Live where we break down Industry Week, how to watch it, where to watch it, what are all the benefits, everything you need to know. I'm going to have Jeff Bates co-host that one with me, and we have representatives from all the major Canadian distributors that'll be joining us. So that's going to be fun. There's going to be somebody from Gemsen, Automobility, BB, Sobel, Trends, Importel, MSC. Everybody's going to be there to tell you guys what you can't miss when Industry Week rolls around the corner just the very week after. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Once again, this is CMA Live, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your humble host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM with even more exclusive content that you can't find anywhere else. Like over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music ad-free. Root for your team anywhere you are. Get news from every source. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars and what's going on right now. And now your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home on devices like smart TVs, connected speakers, and more. For the first time, create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Enjoy a backstage pass to your favorite shows with SiriusXM Video, including Howard Stern and more. The best part? It's all included in your all-access trial subscription. Start enjoying it all in your vehicle, on your phone, online, and at home today. What you love is on now.
Introducing CMA Industry Week Spring Showcase 2021, a multi-day online event slated for March 22nd to April 1st, featuring all the major Canadian 12-volt electronics distributors presenting in both English and in French. The schedule will feature in-depth interviews, training sessions, keynote speakers, product unveilings, and much more. Access to CMA Industry Week will be completely free for all retailers and industry professionals. Choose to watch both live or on demand. Stay connected by visiting CanadianMobileAudio.com/Industry Week.